Hello, and welcome to the Loveology podcast, where we talk about love and life with laughter. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jason.
He's the carefree one.
She's the serious one.
And we're married.
We have been since 2012, and we like to think of ourselves as a couple of loveologists.
Not because we are the experts, but because we just love love.
We enjoy studying and talking about it, so we thought, let's just start a podcast.
A place where we can share what we have learned about love, relationships, and marriage.
You can share what you've learned, and we can all grow together.
So here we are. Are you ready?
Let's get started. What is up? Hey.
Hello.
Hey. Happy Veterans Day to all my veterans out there.
Shout out to the veterans.
How's everybody? Hooah, Air Force.
Hoo-yah. I had to think about it for a second. Jeez. Hoo-yah.
Hoo-yah.
For the Navy vets.
Yes.
And the service members.
Shout out to everybody, service members and their families. Shout out to the veterans. It's Veterans Day. Happy Monday.
Yeah.
What's up, babe?
Happy Veterans Day, honey. Thank you for serving our country.
Thank you for serving our country as well.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So let's get this party started. We appreciate everybody. Loveology is growing, and thank you for your support. Thank you for listening, and thank you for sharing. It really means a lot to see you guys give your rates and your reviews on Apple Podcasts and
Yes.
Spotify and all that good stuff. So keep sharing the love, man. And let's get this party started. What are we talking about today, love?
I guess this is kind of more of like another single special.
Single special. Single special.
But it can also definitely be used for people who are in relationships, and we're basically talking about getting to know your partner.
Getting to know
And
you. Yeah, I can do that type of song.
I didn't even know you knew any musical. Was that who is that?
Man,
Mary Poppins? Who is
I'm
that?
well versed, man. I'm well versed.
Wait, what movie did that come from? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
Okay. Well, anyways.
Getting to know a lot about
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Mary Poppins or something, I
Yeah,
think.
man, you just...
No,
I
it's
know
The
a little-
King and I.
Whatever.
But it's the same woman, Julie Andrews, I believe.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not messing up. But anyways.
We'll fact check that later.
Yes. So we're going to go over some questions that are good to ask, a person that you're dating, or like I said, if you're in a relationship. But hey, sometimes people forget to ask very important questions, and then they wind up married, and then they
find the stuff out later.
Then they find the stuff out later.
And you're like, I can't deal with this.
Yeah, so maybe even if you've been with somebody for like a year, you may have not even thought to ask one of the questions that we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about a good time, just give some question ideas, and a good time to ask the questions, because, can't go in too fast, too hard.
Not
what
too
I'm saying?
fast. Hey, want to have my baby? Can't ask that on day one.
No.
Yeah, you got to wait a little bit. So let's pop it off. Let's start off with your question.
Okay, so first, I just want to say that, especially for women, I think sometimes we have a hard time asking questions because we are afraid to ask. That could just be because we're just like nervous, or we literally feel like, oh, if I do too much, then I'm going to run the guy off. Now, like we just said, there's some questions that no, you don't need to be asking on the first date, but there is a proper time to ask if you plan on having children, or do you want to have children. That's still a question that needs to be asked, but maybe not on the first date, right?
I don't know. I guess it depends on your age.
I just think when it comes from a woman, men do tend to be like, dang, you trying to marry me already and get me to knock you up already on the first date? Like, let's see if we have some chemistry first before we even talk about that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I can feel that.
But, I mean, I guess I see what you're saying. Just like, I mean, and so I guess it just depends because some people have these first dates where, you know, they go home and they talk on the phone for hours and, you know, you just skip past the small talk. I don't really like small talk myself.
Yeah.
I like to, you know, I'm a deep thinker,
Right.
deep talker. Like I like to, you know, to ask intrusive questions, but
Oh yeah. Especially when you first start. I remember I started off, I'm dating you. Especially when I was in high school and stuff, or, you know, college, it's going to be a 6-hour phone call, you know, just talking about everything. Where time.
So you were a heavy question asker.
Oh yeah, I'm just a heavy conversationalist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously, I'm on a podcast. I don't know why you have a podcast and you didn't talk as much or something.
Well, when I got older, I started talking more. Yeah. But yeah, I'm still shy, but I definitely used to be very shy. I didn't speak at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go for it. What's some of your questions?
So I wanted to read something as we're talking about like a proper time to talk to ask questions. There was some advice that was on the eHarmony's website. eHarmony is an online dating platform, and it said, peel the onion, don't stab it with a paring knife. Okay. Getting to know someone new is like peeling an onion one thin layer at a time. It's a slow and safe process, but some people, overeager to get into deep and meaningful conversation, go too far too fast. They ask personal and sensitive questions that put the other person on the defense. Should the relationship evolve, there will be plenty of time to get into these weighty topics. For now, take it easy.
Take it slow.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
So you, like, if you put yourself back in a single mindset, do you feel like you would have been put off by a woman asking you, well, do you want to get married? Do you want to stay in the area where you live now? You seem, you know. What?
No, I invite those type of conversations, to be honest. Like, again, we're going to be on the phone for about 6 hours because we're just going to be talking about everything, you know. So, yeah, though, to me, you know, I want to give you as much colors as I possibly can so you can paint the picture of who I am. So,
okay.
Well, come on, baby. You know what time it is. So
I want to give you the colors of who I am.
Yeah,
so you can
man.
paint the picture.
Paint the proper picture, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see you.
So, you know, that touches all types of categories and subjects, and it's all, I'm all open. I'm an open book anyways, you know?
So, but I mean, do you see how maybe some other men may be kind of turned off by saying that?
For
by
sure.
a woman saying that?
Yeah, I totally get it. But if we talking about me, you know,
Okay.
all I can do is speak from my perspective at this point.
Okay.
But I can see how other guys would be afraid of that. But at the same time, you know, it's men out there afraid of, you know, just commitment in general. You know what I'm saying? So I at an early age, I knew I wanted to be married, and I like being in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? I really did. And I really do. You know, that's why I think that's part of the reason why I think we gel so well, because I want to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's important. Do you want to be here? Okay. So here's some questions that may be good to ask early on. I was thinking about when Steve Harvey wrote his book, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. And he was saying that there's 5 questions that every lady should ask a man before they get too deep. But I think these are the first 2 questions were something that you can definitely ask like on a first date. I probably wouldn't ask it this way, but one is, what are your short-term goals?
What's wrong with that?
I don't know. What are your short-term goals? It sounds like an interview.
It sounds like a boss. I mean, it is an interview.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
But I think I probably would say, like, is there any goals that you're working toward right now or something like that?
You're saying the same thing.
I guess so.
You saying the same thing.
It's just what are your short-term goals?
You know, you just, instead of using Miracle Whip, you using mayonnaise. It's the same sandwich.
But no, Miracle Whip and mayonnaise have different ingredients in it, therefore they're different.
Correct, but it's the same sandwich, the same ham sandwich with cheese on it. You still gonna get you some potato chips, and you still gonna be hungry after the fact. So
yeah. And so he was saying, pay attention to how they answer it, because if they just like pipe dreaming and they're not actually, see if they answer the question and then immediate follow it with like telling you what are the steps that they are. Yes. What are the steps that they are taking? If they getting a master's degree, they want to change careers.
Right.
And now they're in night school for getting a master's degree. Okay. He's definitely, or she is actually making a plan to do this.
Yeah. But try not to be too critical early on, because people are so, they're so nervous and so kind of not themselves in the beginning, that some things can kind of come off as something they may not intended for it to come out as. So try not to be too critical in the initial stages, but go for it. What do you think about that? It was like you have a little face of
I guess I would need an example. Because when I'm dating, if somebody asks me what my plans are, I can tell them, and I'm not going to, even if I'm nervous, like I'll be able to tell you what it is.
Right. But we was watching, what's that show that everybody been watching, but I'm just not getting on it, Black Love. Yeah, on OWN. Terry Crews and his wife, when they're
on season 3, and they're 2 of the cast members for season 3.
Yeah, and so he was talking about how he was, dancing with her. I think it was their first night out. Yep, because he never, it was their first night out, and so he was just so uptight, and he didn't want to dance. He had her like they was dancing, but they was so far away, like they was in elementary school, because he didn't want to infringe on her, and kind of, didn't want her to feel like he's just going in for the draw. So he was just not himself. And she had to tell him like, dude, relax.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
she said, excuse me, she said, brother, you can relax.
Exactly. So try not to be so critical. Because like I said, you're definitely not yourself in the beginning. It's just like, it's like this foundation. It got to settle a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So the next question he said was, what are your long-term goals? Along the same lines,
same stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
So what are you looking for when you ask that question? What are you looking for?
You're trying to see if you can fit within this plan. But
can
not
you see yourself?
Yeah. Going with that plan, because like if you saying, well, I plan to move abroad, you know what I'm saying? Well, I don't want to go.
That's basically what we did. Your long-term goals and short-term really was getting in the Navy, and I was like, cool, go for it.
Yeah, and I was dating a guy that was not feeling the Navy thing. So
you got out of here. You're out of here.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Didn't fit the mold, buddy.
Right. Instead of he was trying to convince me not to go. Like, we don't even know each other that well.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And he probably don't even know enough about the military to convince you not to go in the first place.
I mean, he didn't want to do the long distance thing. He didn't want to do that. Yeah. He wanted, a girlfriend and that's fine. Like, but you have to, just recognize what you want.
Right.
And if I ain't it, then I'm not it. Right.
Correct. Move on to the next one. That's okay.
It's all right.
What else you got?
And that's what I wanted to, also say about women just being afraid that you may run off a guy because you asked them a question. You know what I'm saying? Well, if that's running them off, you don't want them anyways.
Right.
And they they need to be gone anyways. You just saving yourself a lot of heartache and pain. Let's figure out who they are. Let's not, and you tell me, do men sometimes, do y'all feel such a pressure to impress? You know what I mean? I kind of feel like women feel like, oh, I just want him to like me. I want him to pick me. Right. And it's like, no, you need to be just as concerned about whether or not he is right for you, but
Right.
we're so busy trying to be the right person for him. And it's like, no, you need to be thinking about whether or not he is the right person for you.
Well, here's the thing, and this is ladies and gentlemen, but definitely ladies. You have to figure out what mindset this man that y'all are, that you're talking to, what mindset are they in? Are they in for something serious, or are they in for something for play?
Mm-hmm.
So, first, you got to put them in the right category.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Before you get to asking these questions, and so here's another thing: you might have a person that's looking for a long-term relationship, looking for a girlfriend, right?
Mm-hmm.
But some of your acts or some of your pictures or how you present yourself may push him to just put you in the play zone.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be careful with those things. So let's just get that foundation set straight. Figure out what lane is he in.
Well,
are you here? That's a question.
Yeah.
Are you here for play, or are you here for a relationship?
But would you ask that on the first date?
I think I would, man, just to go ahead and break the ice, Hey,
yeah. Well, because, hey, it seems like guys are very honest nowadays, because there's plenty of women that don't, if maybe they're in the mindset that they want to play too.
Yeah.
And like you said, that's, hey, whatever your world, whatever, let's just talk about it and make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah.
So it seemed
let's
like
get on the same page from the jump.
Yeah. So it seemed like if you ask a man directly, unless he's just a super duper, just habitual liar, I've heard a lot of men say that they're straight up with women.
Yeah.
Sometimes before the woman even asks, like, listen, I'm not looking for no serious relationship.
Right.
I don't. So you need to make the decision whether or not you want to take that or not. You know what I'm saying?
I think the quicker you ask that question, the less awkward it is. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that might be one of the first questions I ask after, what's your name?
But how would they ask? Because I don't know. I feel like if I would have said, so
and I'm
what?
just joking, like not right after what's your name.
I know. Well,
on the first date for sure.
If it was the first date and I said, so what are you looking for? Are you like, how would a woman ask that question that wouldn't be, like you would just say, are you here for play, or do you want a serious relationship? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it's whatever fits your personality. So yeah, if I was to ask a woman, or from my perspective, I would ask a woman, I would say, hey, what's up? Are you you got a team, or are you trying to look for just one one person? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You got a rotation, and it's cool if you do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just trying to get on the same page as you.
Right.
It's just something simple like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, back to these goals things. So
we got short-term goal, we got long-term goal.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to tell a personal story about the fact that I went on I was talking to a guy that I found out he totally tricked me. I found out later on that he was a drug dealer, right? But he was not what you think a drug dealer looks like. Mm-hmm. And just the way they carry themselves, he was an undercover detective, like
undercover what is called an undercover brother.
Yes, like you would have never guessed he was
probably just
drugs.
A supplier or something.
Well, I think he was about to get to the point of being a supplier.
What you know about that?
I know a little something. I watch movies.
You've been watching Power too much.
I watched American Gangster. Is that the name of it with Denzel?
Mm-hmm.
That was very informative.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
they brought those drugs back on C-130s. Shout out to C-130s out there. C-130 Loadmaster right here. Air Force.
Shout out. But anyways, I told him, I was like, hey, I really like you, but I have no intention on dating a drug dealer. I will not date a drug dealer. That's not what I want for my life. Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't care.
Why is that? What's wrong with drug dealers?
What do you mean, Jason?
I'm just asking. Because
they bound to get robbed, shot, or get put in jail.
So it's just a hazardous lifestyle you don't want to be a part of.
No.
Okay.
I don't feel like doing all that. And it's illegal. So I mean
But what about legal drugs?
Well, he wasn't selling legal drugs. He was selling illegal.
A legal drug dealer. Okay.
Yeah. He's an illegal drug dealer. So
what if I want to get into some marijuana?
Well, it's illegal. Go right on ahead. Go right on ahead. It's legal in California, so have at it.
So it is legal.
So hey. Yeah. So anyways, let's see. Oh, yeah, so I told him that, and I was talking to a female friend one time about this situation, and she told me that I was bold for telling him that I didn't want to date a drug dealer, and I was serious. I'm not dating you.
Yeah, I think especially in the beginning. I mean, you don't want to be just super just, I don't know, but you want to speak your mind.
So you think that was bold?
No, I don't think it's bold.
Very simple. There's nothing bold about telling somebody that you don't want to date them.
No, yeah, you gotta speak. You gotta be assertive. You know what I'm saying in the beginning, and you gotta just let people know, hey, this is how I feel, and this is what I'm looking for.
Well, I guess I'm just making this point of that was just one woman that said this. I ain't gonna say that all women are like that. Obviously, I'm not, but I was just shocked that she thought that it was bold.
Right.
That I would tell, like, no, even though I really like you, I'm not down for that. I have non-negotiables, and that's one of them. So that's, whatever. Right? So I just thought that was interesting, So anyways, so this was a personal, I'm moving away from Steve Harvey questions because I feel like the rest of them are something that you would ask later on. Like after you get to know a person. So we're still like in the beginning questions that are still, good for a beginning. So kind of like back to like small talk questions. I think that you can still go a little deeper, but not, too intrusive if you, ask a question like, when you ask the person, what do they do? You know what I mean? You can ask them, well, how do you like it? Do you like your job, or how do you feel about your job?
Right.
You know what I mean? That was always a personal favorite for me.
And when I was in college, one of my number one lines was, "What's your major?" And so that's just a quick line. Whether you just meeting a girl in the cafeteria line and hey, what's up? My name is Jason. Hey, what's your major? They tell their major because obviously they are passionate about it or something. They picked it as a major. Then you can talk about your major and how those kind of coincide with each other.
And for me, I would probably ask you, well, why did you pick that?
And that starts the conversation. So college folks, there you go. What's your major?
Yep. So yeah, that's a good freebie, Jason. Another good question I always like. Well, maybe this one's not a very good one at the beginning, but I used to like to ask, and I asked you this, Jason. I don't know if you remember, but I said
the suspense is killing me.
I said, what is your definition of a good man? Because a lot of times people will ask, what are you looking for in a man? Like you would ask me, what am I looking for in a man? And then I would tell you, and then you would just proceed to tell me.
Mimic that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like more interested in what you define as a good man.
Right.
Yeah. So I asked you that question. I can't remember what you said, but
obviously I said
you said something good.
Killed it.
You passed, and then I think you asked me the same question, trying to plagiarize my question, and you asked me what was my definition of a good woman.
I thought it was a good question, so I want to hear what you had to say about it.
Yeah, pretty much. I come up with good ideas.
So we still in the early stage of meeting a person questions.
Yeah. So how do you feel about you obviously think it's a good question, but you think that's a good question early on and not too intrusive, not too fast?
No. I'm all for it. I got a question for you.
Okay.
What makes you unique?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a hard question.
So, Ashley.
Uh-oh.
She hates to be put on point.
on the spot, not on point.
Yeah, on spot, yeah. So, what makes you unique, Ashley?
I have no idea, Jason.
You don't know what makes you unique, and you've been with you your whole entire life.
I mean, because somebody in the world could be what I think is unique.
But they don't have nothing to do with nobody else. It's all about what you feel like what's unique about you within your standards of uniqueness.
I don't have no standards of uniqueness.
So you don't feel like you're creative?
Yeah, but there's a lot of creative people.
But that's what makes you unique. You feel like
We're going to have to look up the definition of unique, because I feel like unique is like something that nobody else has.
But not nobody else, but it's just like maybe, majority people don't have. I mean, yes, a lot of creative people. Like, for instance, what makes me unique? I feel like I have a great personality. I feel like I'm funny at times. I feel like I can really show you how to have a good time. You know what I'm saying? So that's what makes me unique. Does other people have that quality? Yeah. But I think that's what makes me feel unique. Yeah.
Okay, well, your definition of unique is different from mine, so I'd have to look it up to see what it actually means.
So you want me to be a Guinness Book of World Records holder? For me to be unique?
Yeah, that's what I thought that the word mean. It's like something that nobody else did.
No, you would be in a circus then. No, I'm not. Everybody doesn't have that. I mean, we all have our gifts and talents, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess you can start there, but I mean, most likely, you're not gonna be just that different than everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So what category of a person you are in? You know what I'm saying? It's just I can put you in a category.
Okay, well, I think that I'm a serious person, a deep thinker, and I think very deeply about life and stuff, but I'm also very loving and very fun.
And very genuine.
Yes. Very genuine person.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what makes you unique.
Awesome.
Good job. See how easy that was?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, your creatures from Venus make things complicated.
Whatever. Okay, so I'm about to run through a list of questions, and we can talk about those. Okay. And you can tell me whether or not you think that's an early on question or after you've been knowing somebody for a little minute.
Okay.
And then you can tell me whatever else you want to tell me about it. I thought this was a good question. What's the most important thing you learned from your parents?
Most important thing I learned from my parents.
You don't have to answer.
Right.
But is that an early on question or? Well, I don't know why I'm asking you this, because you said you would be talking to somebody for 6 hours and you would just be
all these questions are game for me.
On the first date.
First
phone conversation.
It can be the first phone conversation. Yeah. You're going to get a good, you know what I'm saying? Because, again, one of the couples, LaToya Luckett, and her husband had been married for a year. They talked on the phone for a month without he even seeing her.
Yeah.
He didn't have a picture of her or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And they painted a picture of each other without the visual. You know what I'm saying? So I think you can get a deeper connection with a person without the distraction of maybe a tall, with the without the physical description. You really get to know that person on the inside.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Go for it.
Yeah. Okay. So what are your pet peeves? And these are just some questions for our listeners to get some ideas,
So get your pen and paper and take copious notes.
Yes. What is the most unique and quirkiest thing about you? So you already said that one.
What?
What makes you unique?
Yeah. Is it quirky though? But you
quirkiest.
Did. Yeah.
Yeah. Unique and quirky.
That's different.
Really?
Yeah.
Quirky is different. Yeah. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't even know.
Like you do your little lip. You can make your lip jump.
Yes, I can make my bottom lip move.
Yeah. So that's quirky.
What's quirky about you? I don't know.
I can make your lips move.
Get What would you do if you knew you could not fail?
I would do anything I want to do.
Yeah, well, you do it anyways, even if you think you're going to fail. You just try whatever you want to do. That's Jason's personality.
That's part of life.
What do you fear the most? I don't know if I like that question. Like, I don't know if I'm ready for you to get all up in my fears and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, in the beginning, it's going to be like surface level.
So this answers. Is definitely later on sort of questions.
I mean, you can ask it early, but it ain't like most of the time it's going to be a surface level answer.
It's not going to be the truth, the whole truth.
Yeah, it's going to be like, what I fear most, I fear death. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's a deep question. I mean, that's not surface. For some people, fear of death is a very big deal.
Yeah, I get it, but I just think that I don't think they're gonna dive too deep into it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, one guy told me, I asked this question before. He told me that he feared being inadequate.
Okay, go for it, Mr. Excellent.
What bothers you the most in the world? I'd be talking all day with this question.
World hunger. I know you got all types of stuff.
I've said multiple times that I'm like a save the world type of person, and I get so depressed looking at everything, that's wrong with the world. And I'm like, I just want to help, If you won the lottery and you did not need to work, how would you spend your time? What qualities in others do you admire the most? What quality in other people annoys you the most?
Yeah.
If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
Yeah.
That's a hard question to answer.
Yeah, and a lot of these questions are I don't know, maybe like seems like this is like interview style questions, you know what I'm saying? Like you're looking for a job type.
So actually I failed to mention that these questions are came from like a branding thing that you would ask yourself to figure out a brand. But it seems like to me that these are good questions to get to know somebody else too.
I guess, but you know what I'm saying? I just,
because some of these questions I've actually asked people.
I get it, and that's cool, but I'm talking about questions like, how many sexual partners have you had? That's a question.
But these questions are getting to the meat of who you are, though.
I get it, and but I'm just trying to ask.
And why does that matter?
For me, it doesn't. You know what I'm saying? To a degree. You know what I'm saying? I don't want somebody that's ran through everybody. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, what?
Jason getting cussed out.
How? By who? I'm just saying that's my preference. I can say I don't want nobody that hasn't ran through everybody. That's my preference. You gonna make me, you know what I'm saying, date somebody?
She can refuse to answer the question.
Well, they can refuse. You don't have to answer the question.
But why do you care? That's then they passed.
Okay, but I'm just saying these are some questions that some people may ask. That's all. You know what I'm saying? Those questions have been asked of me, and those questions have been asked to girls. So
well,
I just be careful with that question. You might not like what you hear. So it just depends on the age group. That's definitely a question for the younger people, the younger people that's dating. But once you get older, it's like we might not want to talk about that.
Well, maybe it's just, I don't know. I was watching a show about this, and they was just like, most women lie. Anyways, isn't there a rap song that say that?
Yeah, it's like a formula. Because whatever the women say, you times it by 3.
Yeah, I couldn't remember who was that. What was it? It was a song where the guy said that.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Anyways, so that's the type of questions you want to ask.
Yeah, I mean, these are, because those questions are cruel. I hate. Maybe
Jason always hating on me.
No, I'm not hating. I'm not hating. These are more mature, questions.
Yes, which you need to be asking.
Hey, I'm not knocking that, but
I feel like you are. What y'all think?
Look, I'm telling you that I'm not. You know what I'm saying? But I do want to give some other questions on the flip side. How's the relationship with you and your baby daddy? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was gonna get to that.
Okay, I'm just saying,
yeah, that's definitely important. So, definitely the question of, do you have children? And this is another thing I want to say. Don't assume anything. Mm-hmm. I'm all about ask the question. So go ahead and ask that person, are you married?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with asking that question.
Because some people are not, they're technically married. Mm-hmm. But they're separated or legally separated. But I still need to know that. You know what I'm saying? So I have a right to know that sort of thing.
Right.
So yes, definitely, one of the first questions that's, once I find out a man has a child, that's the second question I'm asking is, well, how's your relationship with the mother of your children?
Right.
Or your child? I need to know about that.
And there's another group of questions you can ask that's very versatile, and they're called "Would you rather?" Like, would you rather questions. Would you rather drink coffee or sodas? And that can open up.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That can open up a whole bunch of other, questions that can go deep, that can go shallow. You can do all types of stuff. Do you want to have a threesome? Those are questions, man. What my wife is rolling my eyes at me, dude. This is for single people. I'm not asking you this as my wife. I'm asking, these are questions that single people may ask. That's all. What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
Golly, you want me to?
Okay, let me finish my little list. Okay, what are your non-negotiables in life, and that you must have to feel whole and content, or just what are your non-negotiables? So, asking questions about religion, and a non-negotiable for me would have been never traveling. Like, you just don't want to go nowhere.
Right.
That's like a non-negotiable.
Why is that?
Because I love to travel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just I couldn't imagine myself being with somebody who don't want to get on the airplane and don't even want to take a car across the state line, right? Like, nope. That's not gonna work.
I remember a non-negotiable what we was talking about in the previous episode, Single Ready to Mingle. David Roby and Sierra. They was talking about non-negotiables as in smoking cigarettes. David was like, I don't want a girl to smoke cigarettes, but Sierra brought up a good point. Well, maybe what if you are that person that helps deliver that person from that? You know what I'm saying?
That's very interesting, because I was just listening to Devon Franklin, who is the husband of Megan Good, an actress.
Megan Franklin.
Yes. Well, okay, I guess.
Did she change? I don't think, did she change?
Maybe she's Megan Good Franklin, but
shout out to Devon Franklin and Megan Good Franklin, whatever y'all are, whatever your name is. Shout out.
So he was actually saying that he always said that he would never get married, and I thought back to that episode. Oh, he would never get married to a woman who smoked, and she smoked cigarettes.
For sure, yeah, she smoked cigarettes.
I was so shocked.
I think she still smokes cigarettes.
I don't know. I think she quit. I don't know.
I think she still smokes.
Okay, well, that was a major problem for him, because he was just like, at this time they kind of had they dated, and I guess they had fallen in love, but they were in, I don't know if it was premarital counseling or just counseling, but it was before they got married. Yeah. And he was like, I said I would never date a smoker. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
and
never say what you'll never do.
But I get it. But anyways, obviously he still married her. Like, they talked about it. She was like, you have to be patient with me. I want to quit, but you have to be patient with me, because I'm on my journey of quitting. You know what I'm saying? Don't put all this pressure on me like this. And so, they seem very happy. So obviously, one of his non-negotiables, something he said he would never do, he ended up doing, and it was fine. But I just still think that there are some things. I mean, for me, it was like, no, you're not a Christian. No.
Right.
I already tried that, where I dated somebody that wasn't a Christian. And that's just a non-negotiable. I've already tried it. It's not going to work for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah. So, back to Steve Harvey questions. The last 3 of those 5 questions that he said that every woman should ask. He says that you should ask, what are your views on relationships? So, like I was saying, he even included, what's your relationship with God like? You know what I mean? What's your relationship with what's your views on family, children? You know what I mean?
Right.
Just if those things are important to you, you definitely need to get those out of the way.
Right.
And then, what do you think about me is definitely one that you should be asking after y'all been dating for a while. Like, don't ask somebody, what do you think about me on the first date? Like, I don't know you. I'm still learning you.
You can still give.
You can say, what's your first impression?
Yeah.
But not, what do you think about me?
That's the same thing.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
What your first impression is asking, what do you think about a person initially?
Okay.
That's not what that is.
Jason just wants to argue with me today.
Is that not what that is? That's basically saying this is what I think about you initially.
Okay,
but
well,
go for it.
How do you feel about me? Is definitely one that you. This the last question that he was saying, but you want to be have dated for a while, and he was saying to go ahead and ask that before you jump in too deep with this person, because you just need to know,
right?
And yeah, you just before you just decide to just like go all in, you need to ask, what do you think about me, and how do you feel about me?
Right.
Don't be afraid.
Right.
Do it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Just do it. You know, it's your life, and the decision about who you tie your life to is, like, to me, one of the most important decisions you can make.
Right. So
let's do some investigation.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. I think a question that you should ask early on is, what's your religious beliefs early on?
Yeah, you think that's early on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead. Because that's a foundational question.
Right.
You want to get that foundational question. You want to lay that foundation early. So here's another good question. Tell me a joke. You got any good jokes?
No.
You don't think that would be a good question? You got a good joke? I think that's a good question for a girl to ask a guy. You know what I'm saying? Because guys typically are playful. You know what I'm saying? And can have jokes stored up. I think guys have stories. I got a joke for you, babe.
Go ahead.
You want to hear it?
Yes.
What do you get when you mix? What do you get when you mix a brown chicken with a brown cow?
I don't know.
Brown chicken, brown cow.
That was so lame.
Brown chicken, brown cow.
So lame, Jason. It's not even a joke. I don't even know what it is.
So that could be you could definitely break spice with that.
Mm-hmm.
Go for it, love.
So yes, this one just came to my mind. Also, back to that question about like what did your parents teach you? Whatever. The way that we grew up is just so important, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I think, like, especially for men, it was important for me to like know, how did you learn how to be a man?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any like male role models that you can talk to?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's just super important.
Right.
And so I think learning about, your childhood is definitely a very important thing for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like that question too. And just like I said, some men don't talk to anybody. They don't have anybody to talk to, or they don't have like a male in their life
right
to talk to, and I can see how that can be problematic.
Right.
So for the ladies, I just want to drop that one. Like I felt like that one was really, really important.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because we don't know everything, and we all need some mentorship and some guidance.
Right.
And so just knowing that you're in a relationship with somebody who, knows that, understands that, and seeks that out, to me, that's a really important thing.
Go for it, love.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead with the rest of your questions.
Well, I was going to go to questions that you shouldn't ask on a first date, but go for it.
Well, go ahead.
Roger that. So, I don't think a good question to ask initially on the first date is, why did your relationship end? I don't think that's a good question to ask.
Yeah, that's too
deep.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when we break up, we don't like to accept responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just try to paint our exes as the bad girl or the bad guy, which most of the time, not all the time, but most of the times when a split happens is because of both parties done something wrong. And so I don't think it's just a good time to ask that type of question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you think it's a good time to ask that question? When would you ask that question?
I kind of think that it's not a first date question.
Definitely not a first date question.
But I feel like it's a third date question.
Third date?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
are you looking? This is what I'm looking for. If I ask that question, I'm looking for. Obviously, the person's gonna talk about how the ex did them so bad, right?
Maybe not.
Maybe not. But I want to hear some responsibility on that person as well, because, like I said, not all the time, but most of the time, it takes two people, it takes two turkeys to tango. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I want to hear what did they do to add to them breaking up. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And if what would you do if you asked that question? So how did your relationship end? And the guy said, well, to be honest, I cheated. Do you feel good that he gave you the truth? Or do you feel like,
well, eventually I'm going to ask that question. Okay. Eventually.
But again, so do you feel good that he told you the truth? Or do you feel like, I don't want to deal with a cheater?
I think I would have both emotions.
So how would you it just depends on...
It depends on him. It depends on the situation.
Okay.
And so in my past relationships, when I was cheated on, I mean, I guess if someone would ask me that question, mm-hmm. by your standards, I would be being negative maybe, but we broke up because he cheated on me. Like that's it. That was the truth. So of course we had arguments or whatever, but we didn't break up for any of those reasons. We broke up because he cheated on me.
Right.
So I would have happily stayed in the relationship had he not done that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And of course, all women, we think it's our fault, right? So of course, I asked him, well, what did I do?
Right.
Did I do something? No, you were like a perfect girlfriend. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Okay, so sometimes it is the other person's fault.
Sometimes it is.
Yeah. What else? What are some more questions that you should not ask?
Should not ask. Why are you still single?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a good question to ask on the very first, in the initial phases. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not gonna get, most likely not gonna get a pure answer, because they still trying to impress you, still trying to win you over. So they're probably gonna kind of avoid some of that and sugarcoat it. So you wait later on while y'all have some type of connection to ask that question, so you can get down to the bottom of why is that person single, to get a true answer. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
We just had a episode about interracial marriage and interracial relationships. So check that episode out. Pretty awesome. But here's a question that for my interracial people that I probably wouldn't ask initially. And that question is, where are you really from? Like, yeah, I know you're from LA, but where you really from?
Well, that's kind of like a rude question. Like, nobody should ask that question. I mean,
that's why you should ask it.
Yeah, normally I ask people, where are you from originally? So wherever they say, I'm going to say, oh, okay, whether or not they look Asian or not, they're from Arkansas. You know what I'm saying? That's where they're from.
It's like, I've been to Arkansas. I ain't seen too many people look like you.
Well, I was there,
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's something you should stay away from. Another one would be, how much money do you make? Stay away from that initially. Why?
So when is a good question to ask that question, though?
When is a good question to ask that question? Yeah. When is a good time to ask that?
Sorry. When is it a good time to ask that question?
I think later on when you have a connection with that person, you can talk about finances. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that's like a, I think that's a when you start to kind of get serious.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? In the dating phase, you just kind of want to leave that question alone. Because if that person, let's say you ask me, well, how much do you make? And I'm just going to be like, why? You know what I'm saying? Because it feels like you might be a little gold diggerish.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So you want to wait until feelings probably got involved. If you haven't gathered, if that person haven't told you yet, or you haven't kind of figured it out, you kind of want to wait to feelings kind of get involved before you ask that question. I think that's my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you feel about it? What do you think?
Definitely. I have no idea. You definitely need to wait. You can't be asking that question on the first date.
Yeah.
But it definitely, I guess I wouldn't feel comfortable asking that question until we were in a committed relationship, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Another question. Do not ask, are you attracted to me? Initially. Why?
Okay.
Why because you had like a little
I guess
question mark.
we're going to
head.
assume that you are attracted to me if you're on a date with me.
Correct. I wouldn't even be on a date if I wouldn't be attracted to you unless it's a blind date. And even if it's a blind date, yeah, it's kind of awkward to put a person that, again, you're probably not going to get a correct, like a truthful answer unless unless you like, I don't know. I think people will kind of give a superficial answer initially.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, just go off of how y'all vibing. If you're vibing, then the person is attracted to you. If you're not vibing, then they're not attracted to you. It's just that simple.
Right.
Don't ask that question.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Okay, sounds good. Oh, I just thought of another one. What about a person who has been dating for a long time and they're wondering about marriage?
Been dating for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So these are more advanced questions down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So what? How would you?
Is it okay for a woman to ask a man, like basically, well, are we going to get married? Are you thinking about marriage sometime soon?
Yeah. I think that's definitely a question that you can ask and should ask. Especially if you feel like, if he hasn't presented the timetable, and we did an episode about gender roles, about men and about what gender do what in the relationship. Yeah. So should a woman propose to a man? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So if he hasn't kind of hinted at a timeline, I think it's okay for a woman to ask, hey, what are we doing here? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? and I think it's okay to, and some of my guys may not like to hear this, but I think it's okay to if she feels like the timetable is going on too long, mm-hmm. I think it's okay for her to put down an ultimatum. Now, I'm totally against ultimatums. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I'm totally against them. But at the same time, if let's say, here's a scenario. Let's say a woman is 35 years old, mm-hmm. don't have any kids, right? But she wants kids, but she would not have kids unless she's married, mm-hmm. right? They've been dating since they was 30. So they've been dating for 5 years. Mm-hmm. And he hasn't kind of hinted at marriage or nothing. Mm-hmm. I think
which is way too long. I wouldn't be waiting 5 years. I think
it's okay for that woman to, hey, ask, what are we doing here? And dude, if you can't give me some type of commitment on marriage, I have to go. Mm-hmm. So that's an ultimatum, right? And I think that's an okay ultimatum because her biological clock is running out. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So I think that's okay for that particular situation to ask that question with an ultimatum tied to it.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't like ultimatums. I don't. Yeah. But in that situation, I can see how that could be feasible.
I just think you got to give the person a chance to respond before you give them an ultimatum.
For sure. Definitely. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, I definitely give them a chance to respond, but if they don't, or if they don't respond to the way that you want them to, that you want, then throw that ultimatum out there to see if that it can make them budge. And if not, you got to cut your losses because your clock is running out.
Right.
And wasting your time, literally wasting.
Yeah.
No, we don't have time for that.
Right.
Like Miss Tanya say, not at all whatsoever. Shout out to Miss Tanya. What's it? Daycare Chronicles 101. Check her out.
Yep. So I guess the moral of the story is her job is to get to know the person that we are dating as much and well as we can, and you do that by asking questions.
Gotta ask some questions, man.
So hopefully we gave you some good ideas of some questions that you should ask. You just want to try to dig and get to know who this person is and to know if they are going to work for you.
For sure.
And again, like we've said this quite a few times, but the only way to really know what you want is if you know yourself.
Oh, you gotta know yourself.
Yes.
You gotta woosah and just really know thyself.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
So maybe some of these questions that I asked, like I said, it was originally for like how to brand yourself, like on social media or whatever. But I was like, oh, these actually are some really good questions. My sister actually sent them to me. But these are actually some good questions that, you could really get to know another person with. But like I said, you can also ask yourself these questions if you are unclear about who you are.
Yeah.
And it's okay. We've all had to kind of like sit back and just like really think about who we are.
Right.
But that is the key to finding the person that you really want.
Right.
And
obviously we didn't cover all the questions. There's plenty more questions out there. So we would love to hear from you.
Yes. Go ahead. Sorry.
And so, on Wednesdays, we have a live discussion where we talk about this episode that we put out today. So this Wednesday, go check out Facebook, 6 p.m. Pacific. You can go to Loveology Podcast and look for the Facebook page, hit a like. And then, like I said, on Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, where we have a live discussion. It's about 30 minutes of your time. And there, man, share some of your information. Share some questions that you may ask on your first date, right? So we want to hear from you guys. And we also make it worth your while. We give away stuff. We give away hats. We give away different merchandise we have on there. And we just gave away $100. And all you have to do is answer 2 questions and that's random questions I come up with from the episode. All you gotta do is answer 2 questions. And you answer 2 questions, you spin the wheel, and you can win a prize. And we had a winner, Mr. James. He won $100 last week, and shout out to James for winning that $100. He listened to the podcast. We really appreciate you for listening to the podcast and sharing the love. But he's $100 richer from that, and I think it was so popular that I brought it back. So the $100 is still on the spin the wheel. If you answer the 2 questions, you get a chance at it. It just so happened to land on it. So meet us on Facebook on Wednesday, 6 o'clock. Like I said, 6 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern.
Awesome.
Well, that's our show for today.
I was trying to do the
Arsenio Hall show. That's our show today.
Yes.
Questions.
Yes, please let us know on social media.
We used to call that 21 questions.
Yeah, you can make a game out of it.
That's what I used to call it, 21 questions.
Yeah, it don't have to be fun. Let's just we're on a date. We're doing the Netflix and chill thing or something. I don't know.
Netflix and chill is busting.
Why can't it really be Netflix and chill?
Why
it got to be...
But it's going to be some other stuff included in chilling.
I'm so sweet.
Yeah. You can still be sweet with, she.
No, I'm just because I was really thinking. I wasn't thinking the other thing.
Yeah, I know. You could be having these girls thinking like that. They get messing around being a lion's den, trying to Netflix and chill.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Well, anyways, make a game out of it. Let's play 21 questions and just like do rapid fire questions with each other and just
get to know, paint that picture. Paint that picture.
That was one of the biggest pieces of advice on the last episode that we just had with our couple that had been married for 29 years. They both just kept saying you really need to know your partner, you know. So again, like I said, hopefully, of course, there's so many questions that you can ask your partner. Figure out what's important to you and really figure out those questions that you need to ask in order to get the answer to, to figure out whether or not they have the qualities and the characteristics that are really important to you and the values.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. We going for real this time, y'all.
All right, yes. Rate and review.
Rate and review. And you know what I like to say. When you have love, you have peace. When you have peace, you have progression. So shout out to all my loveologists out there. Catch y'all next time. Peace out.
You've been listening to the Loveology Podcast. Did you have fun with us today? Tell a friend about our show. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to keep the conversation going. Be sure to subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. Visit us at loveologypodcast.com. Thanks for listening. Until next time, Loveologists.